Hey there. Before we jump into today's episode, we want to thank you for tuning into Unapologetically First Gen. This is the podcast where two sisters share what it's like to grow up as first-generation immigrants, everything from the hilarious moments to the heartfelt ones. Each week, we'll bring you personal stories, honest conversations, and amazing guest interviews that celebrate the first-gen experience. So if you love laughing, learning, and feeling connected, you're in the right place. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share the podcast with your friends. It really helps us grow. If you want to contribute to episode topics and get exclusive content, join our Patreon linked in the show notes.
Hello, I'm Stacy, the younger sister. I'm a former teacher turned copywriter, cat mom, and slightly obsessed with romantasy books.
And I'm Lesley, the older one, operations expert, home baker, mom to 2 kids, and a bunny. Hello, and welcome back to a new episode of Unapologetically First Gen. We are getting really close to the end of season 1, which is so exciting. So we thought we would do something a little different today and talk about our experience podcasting and also the feedback we've gotten, especially from those 40-odd cousins. They've had a lot to say about the podcast. They have been tuning in week after week. So we wanted to share some of the feedback we've gotten. So let's kick things off.
All right. So, Lesley, this is your first real podcasting experience. So how has this whole thing been for you?
This has been really interesting because it was a little bit of a crash course. I've had to kind of figure it out as we've been going, what works, what doesn't, how loud my mic needs to be, how quiet my mic. Just like, you don't really think about the technical aspect of podcasting until you're actually podcasting. And then you're like, oh wait, it's not just like I talk to someone and then it magically appears on the internet. You don't really think through all the steps involved. So that, has been an interesting challenge, but also, I've had a lot of fun. I mean, these are conversations we've had multiple times. I've loved every guest episode we've had. Those have been unbelievably rewarding, just hearing our friends talking about their own experiences and kind of peeling back the experience in a way that doesn't naturally come up in a regular day-to-day conversation. So that's been really cool. And then hearing that all of our cousins are listening, or a lot of our cousins are listening, has also been pretty incredible. We were at an event back at the beginning of April, and one of our cousins approached me and was like, do you know that we listen to your podcast every week and we have like a group chat about it? And I was just like, aw,
that's so nice,
guys. That is so sweet. And I know we're going to talk more about that, but honestly, that's been the most rewarding part for me.
I think it's so interesting too. It's so hard to keep in touch with 40 plus cousins. And I'm sure that the cousins who try to talk to me know this, but I'm not a great texter. I will disappear. And I'm not really on social media. And, even for my business side, which I was on social media a lot, I'm kind of stepping back a little bit. But I love podcasting. So it's like we can just like talk and talk and talk. But then I also feel like people come up to me and I'm like, oh, I don't even remember what I said. So fill me in on what I said, please.
Yeah, it's trippy when they've just, it's like Wednesday afternoon and we're getting text messages about the podcast that was just released, but we recorded it like 3 weeks ago. So I'm like, wait, what episode was it? What was the funny thing that we said? That's really interesting too.
Yeah, it is. When we released the first few episodes, we had people reaching out and saying, so brave and so cool because you're really showing up and being vulnerable. And I think that's what makes the podcast good, is us sharing our experiences and how relatable they are. And I think what's cool is even people who aren't Portuguese, I feel like have very similar experiences. And so it's been cool to like talk about what some of those similarities are and then hear from other people about their experiences and the different intersections of people's identities and how it shows up for them.
Yeah. And one thing that I think has been really cool is when we're talking to people who aren't first gen and they're saying, hey, this is really relatable, because you are hearing like, the experiences of the, like, I'm putting quotes around this, minority are relatable in so many ways. And it's really important for us to know that and to hold on to that in this time where there's so much uncertainty and so much hate, so much very public hate. So it's been really rewarding to hear that. I've really enjoyed hearing people saying, hey, you know what you should talk about? It's like, yeah, tell me, what should we talk about? I want to know. I want to know what you want to hear about.
Yeah, if you have ideas, let us know. Join our Patreon, DM us. We are all ears. We're going to be filming season 2 starting this summer. So let us know before we actually start recording them.
Yeah, maybe DM me, since Stacy just said that. She's rarely on social media.
I mean, like, I will get to your DM eventually, but if you need a prompt response, then,
I promptly respond.
I check it like once a day, so like it's still like
not bad.
Prompt-ish.
Yeah, I think one business day is a really respectful turnaround. This podcast has also been like a little bit of therapy for me. There are things that you think about a lot currently with the current administration being so anti-immigrant. We were very lucky to grow up in an area and a time where we didn't have to deal with this particular level of distrust and hate for the immigrant community. And I'm not saying it didn't exist, but not to this degree. Having the opportunity to reflect back on my own experiences and think about the current experience, particularly of immigrants and their children, has been, I don't even know what the right word is, but it's hit me in a different way.
It's really scary. We live in Massachusetts and our state is being targeted. You have ICE kidnapping people off of the street, and some people are citizens. They're not even immigrants. They're citizens. And it is just like,
or they're green card holders, which, is lawfully here, and I'm putting that in air quotes because it's awful to call someone an illegal, again, italicized quotes there, immigrant. Just yesterday, I got a post, an alert on my town that ICE was right around the corner from here. A parent was walking their kid to school, and a bunch of agents just sort of surrounded them and took the parent away. And luckily, the neighbors came out to help the child, who was effectively left alone until their other parent came.
Ugh, the argument you hear, it's, oh, well, they should have done the process the right way. And it's like, yes, but not everybody has the opportunity, and not everybody has like access to the process in the right way. And some people need to get the fuck out of where they are. And our parents were green card holders and not citizens for decades.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't get their citizenship until, like, I don't know, 10 years ago?
Yeah, something like that. And they did it out of fear that something was going to happen to green card holders. And that was before all of this. So for people who are listening who aren't in that community, this isn't new. This hate isn't new. This sort of vitriol towards immigrants isn't new. It's just ramped up. It's in a public way. It's people are feeling so emboldened. And now, I mean, I'm worried. They've become naturalized citizens. We're citizens. And I'm really worried about it.
I'm worried.
Am I going to stay a citizen? And I say this like jokingly, but I'm like, oh, do we have everything in order to flee the country? And it's like, every once in a while that becomes less of a joke and more of a real statement for me, because, are we going to get questioned about our loyalties to this country?
Right, especially as people with dual citizenship, which, if you don't know, the United States does not recognize dual citizenship. So as somebody who holds European citizenship and also holds U.S. citizenship, if I ended up moving to Portugal, like I'm still responsible for like US taxes because they don't recognize that you can have two citizenships at the same time. So I have had this struggle. I know this was supposed to be like a whole episode about our people and what they have said, but I think a lot of people are having all of these fears. I've thought about this, like, do we move? Do I get my husband Portuguese citizenship so we can move and be safe? Or do we stay and make this podcast and write to our representatives and go to the protests and do all of the things? And it's hard to kind of figure out what's the right thing to do and what's the thing that's going to keep our family safe. And I think it's hard when you're not part of the community to understand the underlying fear that goes on, because like it's almost like life just goes on for everybody, right? And unless you're affected by it, you're not really thinking about these issues.
Yeah, and I keep hearing things like, oh, it's just not going to get to that point. There's no way that, we're going to lean all the way into birthright citizenship. There's no way. And it's like, well, how did we get to this point? This sort of reminds me of like 10 or 11 years ago, State Senator Wendy Davis filibustered in the Texas State Senate to avoid having them vote on a really restrictive abortion bill. And I remember talking about it at work the next day with one of my work friends. And she was like, well, the Democrat was leaning so heavily on access to abortion. It's just like, she said, why does she keep talking about this? This isn't an issue. And I was like, but it is an issue. There are all these court cases. There are all these things that are starting to come up that's going to make this an issue. And she's like, well, no, I don't agree that we need to be talking about it right now because there's nothing going on with it. And she just felt like this Democrat that was making people scared that we were going to take away women's right to choose. And it's like, the writing was on the fucking wall. Damn it. So when I'm talking about, I'm afraid we're going to lose our citizenship and our right to be here, and we're going to lose our ability to live safely where we are living, it's not that fucking crazy when you look at what's currently happening.
No, and it's not. And I think that what makes it so tricky is that it's designed purposely so you don't see it if it's not affecting you. That's the level of privilege. When you are a very privileged person in this country, you can just go about your day and live your life and you have a lot of freedom. And when you don't, that's when, you get kidnapped off the street and sent to a different state because you're speaking out against the government, which, by the way, is constitutionally our right to speak out against the government. That is like the point of the Constitution.
I feel like you and I, in having this very public conversation, need to like make sure we're reaching out to our representatives so that if we are disappeared, if we are kidnapped, it can kind of be like, hey, remember me? Hi, this is a plea to Senator Warren.
To be fair, I have emailed them all about this issue.
They know who I am.
Maybe not specifically like me in this podcast, but that my name is on whatever list of supporting anti-ICE things in this state.
It's so problematic. I too do a lot of reach out, and I'm closer to like the local politicians than I am to the state or federal level, just by means of me fighting the good fight in my own neighborhood.
But that's what good grassroots movements is. It's talking to the people in your community, doing the things that are going to make the most impact on the people you know. And then when a lot of grassroots movements are happening, that's when you get a lot of cultural change. Cultural change goes bottom up, not top down necessarily.
Right. So I guess my town councilor can go help get me out of Guatemala.
Well, I think this might be more of a plea to the Portuguese government. If we get sent to El Salvador concentration camp, please.
Yes.
Please help. We are citizens of Portugal.
And you know what's crazy is like it almost feels scary saying that out loud in a public forum.
It is. Yeah.
Like I can feel butterflies in my stomach talking about that because it's like, am I going to get kidnapped by ICE when I'm walking my kid to school? Also, shout out to not just my neighbors, but all of the neighbors when there's been an ICE kidnapping, who really have stepped up to support the family, who've taken names of people who are being disappeared, who haven't let up. That makes me so incredibly proud of my community and of others. You're hearing it across Massachusetts, and you're hearing it in places that I wouldn't expect to hear it.
That gives me hope. In a time where a lot of people are being silenced and threatened with fear, that's what the kidnappings are. You're taking people who are speaking out and silencing them. That's the thought behind it. Seeing people stand up and seeing people be like, you can't take my neighbor, where's your warrant? That gives me a lot of hope to know that we, the people, we work together. And I think that is what makes the idea of this country so amazing, is that freedom of expression, the freedom of like community and being together. How that plays out, it's not really the way it's supposed to, but well, I guess it's the way it's supposed to for other people.
It's the way that the people in power currently want it to be.
Exactly.
Which is not a good way to run a country.
Well, not for its citizens, not for the people at the bottom.
Right.
So I know we could go on for a long time about politics and the state of immigration in this country and lots of other things. I have lots of thoughts and feelings, and I know you do too. But we do want to give some shout outs to the people who have been commenting, texting us, and just letting us know that they're listening, including the cousins who said they would bail us out of jail, but would not abet us in a crime.
The episode where we talked about the cousins, the 43 cousins, I think that was when all the cousins really started paying attention to the podcast, where we made that sort of off-the-cuff remark about, I can think of 4 cousins who would be sitting in a jail cell with us. Garnered a lot of attention. And I think we got messages from, I don't know, like 10, 12 people about, am I one? Is so-and-so one? Who is the, or like people just being like, can I guess who the 4 cousins would be?
I know. Or like, I wouldn't commit a crime with you, but I would totally get you out of jail.
Yeah, we know exactly who to call if we need to be bailed out of jail.
Unfortunately, none of them are lawyers.
Unfortunately not, but I'm thinking of one in particular. He is angry enough at the government that he would get us a good lawyer and get us one quickly. And I feel like if we were to call him from a jail cell, he would probably yell at us to keep our fucking mouths shut or something like that. Don't talk to the cops. I feel like that would be his response.
Don't worry. Different communities have been handing out these little things to do when you encounter ICE, and one of them is saying, I don't remember the exact verbiage, but it's basically like, these are my rights. I won't talk to anybody except for a lawyer or whatever. I've definitely showed that to mom and dad. I sent it to them. I was like, you have this in a text message so you know what to say. It's important to know your rights, people.
Yeah, the ACLU has really great printouts and handouts if anybody needs them. And they're in multitudes of languages.
Yes, that's true. So in the episode that we did where we talked about superstitions, we had somebody give us some that we missed. But I have to tell you that in this episode, I was like, oh, hey, I don't have a rooster, which is the traditional Portuguese thing. And then I realized that I actually do have a little rooster. It's on a keychain with my spare keys. So when one of our cousins was cat sitting, I gave her the rooster. And it's really sad because I dropped it and it got beheaded.
No!
So I have a beheaded rooster. The head is still on the keys. Oops. The body, it's like sad because it's like hand painted and everything. So I might try to super glue it back together because I feel like we spent so long talking about how the rooster was lucky. And then I find it. And I beheaded it right away. And I'm like, damn, I'm probably cursed.
Whoever goes to Portugal next needs to bring back a rooster knickknack for
a little keychain.
You need one that's like on your desk for good luck.
I mean, now I have this one with no head.
Head.
We had another superstition that we missed, and I've never heard this one before about cutting your hair.
I follow this one, which is
All
funny.
right.
I'm not superstitious. So if you want your children's hair to grow in thick, you have to cut their hair 2 days after the new moon. And you don't have to cut a lot. You can just cut a little bit of the ends.
Like a whole trim, or is it like you're cutting a lock of hair and being like,
No. Like
okay,
I like cut the back. Like both of my kids have curly hair. So I wet it and then I just cut back so that it was a little bit more lined up. And my son is definitely needs a haircut because his hair, he has like poofs. Like he has one on the back of his head. He has a poof like at the top, and he has like two on each side of his head. It's really funny. It's not uniform. So I thought, and he loves when we do his hair. So I think he'll get a real kick out of getting his hair cut. But I do it myself. I just cut a little.
have you seen hair coming in thicker based on the moon?
I mean, no. But what's really funny is that parents and the aunts and uncles who know I'm doing it have been like, wow, your daughter's hair is coming in so much thicker. And it's like, I think it is growing in, but I also think it's growing in because she's getting a little older. So she's, and my son has like wicked thick hair and he has a lot of it.
Also have really thick hair.
And the reason we have thick hair, they will tell you, is because mom cut our hair 2 days after the new moon.
How have I never heard of this before?
I wasn't even sure when I was supposed to do it, so one of our uncles told me it was 2 days after the new moon, and then when I saw him after I did it, I was like, I cut their hair, I cut her hair, and he's like, oh, good, it's gonna grow in so much thicker now, and I was like, oh, great.
I think that's like a myth because I remember learning about that. That was the thing that you would tell preteens, don't shave your legs too early because your hair's going to come back in thicker. Don't shave your arm hair, it's going to come back in thicker. I heard all of these messages as like a sixth grader.
I think that's like still enduring for everybody. It's like if you shave, your hair's going to grow in thicker, and it's like that's not true.
It's a myth.
It's a myth, yeah. Also, this is just speaking about body hair, and because I like to normalize women having body hair, I don't shave under my arms or my legs. And my daughter, like weeks ago, noticed my leg hair. And she started talking about how she has leg hair now. It's really funny. She was like, oh, look, I have hair on my legs too. And I just had this really sweet moment where society hasn't told her it's wrong yet. And she just wants to be like me and like a little grown up. So she's like saying she has hair on her legs. She doesn't, but it was just really cute that I was like, oh, society hasn't ruined this yet.
It's funny. I do remember I started shaving my legs. This is such a tangent, but I started shaving my legs when I was like 12. But I also don't shave my legs anymore. I haven't shaved my legs in years. Remember when I got married 3 years ago now, it had been like at least a year since I shaved. And I remember even thinking, should I shave for my wedding? And then I'm like, why? I'm going to be in this long, poofy dress. Nobody's going to be seeing my legs. As women, we're like more self-conscious about it. And we feel like everybody's noticing. But I feel like nobody has ever been like, ugh, your legs are disgusting because you never shaved them. Like, nobody has ever said that to me. So if you are like, ugh, I hate shaving, this is your permission. Join the club.
Yeah, and then the other day, she noticed I have hair under my arms, and she was like, why you have hair here? And I was like, well, because hair grows most places in your body. And then she, to make sure it was real, I'm assuming, pulled it. I was like, God damn it. And I was like, that really hurt. And then she checked her own armpits, and she was like, I know have hair. And I was like, oh, no. I was like, you'll get hair under your arms and in other places in your body when you get a little bit older.
So sweet.
So normalize women having body hair, guys. That was an extreme tangent.
That was an extreme tangent.
Other feedback we've gotten was a lot of cousins talking about the responsibility of growing up here with parents who are immigrants, and our cousin who was like, I've been an accountant for 30 years since I was 10 years old. We had a cousin who was like talking about talking to doctors as a kid on behalf of her parents, really, I think a lot of our podcast has brought out the weight that a lot of us have had to carry with helping our parents navigate the system. And I think a lot of us do it sort of happily. I mean, maybe not happily, but we do it, how do I say this? It's just part of being in the family. It doesn't feel like a burden, and it doesn't feel like an extra thing, and it doesn't feel weird. It's just sort of like, nope, this is just what I do because I'm part of this family.
But what's interesting, as you're saying that, I think for me, I've had to like really instill some boundaries and like, how often I'm able to do things or like at what times, and just like, learning to be like, hey, this is not a good time for me. Like I am stressed out from work. Like I cannot solve your problem right now. Like I have to work on my stuff. And so I think it's like kind of brought up this idea. I know we've talked to our cousins recently about this idea of boundaries. And I think to different extents, some cousins do way more for their parents. You and I have done a good job of pushing our parents to be independent, but still being there every step of the way, really supporting them and trying to help them grow as people. This idea is kind of a hard balance to be like, hey, we're this family unit and, I'm going to do all of the things to support you and to help you live happy, healthy lives. And at the same time, finding that balance of boundaries where, I can take care of myself too. And I can make sure that I'm living my happy, healthy life too.
As you were talking, I was thinking about the cousin who drew boundaries with her parents, and then suddenly it became like my thing to take care of. And I was like, wait a minute. And then I told her, I was like, hey, I'm not doing this thing for your mom. And she was like, no. I drew a boundary. It's like, oh, okay, I didn't know we were drawing boundaries.
But it's funny because there are things that I hate doing that sometimes I'll pass to you, and I think vice versa, where there are things where you're like, I can't do this. Same with our aunts and uncles. I would do things for them. It's kind of like this community mindset. We're all helping each other do what we need to get done.
Yeah, I've definitely gone to doctor's appointments for people who are not our parents. Although I will say, thankfully now, doctors are being like, maybe it's not appropriate to have this other person in here doing the translating. They could be saying anything. And they're really leading in translators. And also, I think it took the community a long time to trust the translators.
Oh, and even if I'm there at a doctor's appointment, I ask for the translator because I want them to know that this service is needed.
Good. That's what you should be doing.
Yeah, and the thing is, too, I feel better about this now, but being younger, I was like, I don't know the words. I don't know the doctor's words. I don't know how to translate, like, random body parts. And so it makes it hard to be like, hey, I don't know if I'm communicating this correctly.
For the Gen Zers or other young people listening, this was before Google was in our pocket. So you couldn't just, like, translate something. You had to, like, know the words.
Yeah, that's true. We had our little Portuguese English dictionary. We had two of them, and there was a small pocket one and a bigger one.
I love the small pocket one still around. It's at Mom's house. I know that because one of my kids was playing with it one day, and I was like, oh my goodness, what a throwback.
Yeah, and even using Google Translate, it's not like, it doesn't capture the nuances of language, so it's really, you can still end up sounding real stupid.
There's this really funny video on TikTok that I saw recently. It was a Spanish-speaking woman, and she was at a Home Depot, and she was like, do you guys have shovels? And the guy was like, ¿qué? And she was like, la cuchara de la tierra, the spoon of the earth.
Aww.
And he was like, oh, it's down there. He knew what she was talking about. And I was like, that is what it's like. That is completely what it's like to translate sometimes.
Yeah.
It was such an honest way to say it. I was like, yeah, sometimes you're like, this thing, and you're making a statement around, like, sort of getting to where you need to be. It's just really, it's really funny.
It like reminds me of like the way that our husbands communicate with dad. Our dad speaks mostly Portuguese, they speak mostly English, but they kind of figure out a way to communicate with each other. So that's what it reminds me of. I could see my husband asking for a spoon of the earth.
And it's just such a funny but like kind of beautiful way to use language.
So I think that we can start to wrap up a little bit. Do you want to? We had a really nice quote from a cousin that like warmed our hearts very much. Do you want to read it?
Yeah, so I'm going to read it, but I'm going to eliminate identifying remarks because we didn't ask him if we could use his information on here. But if you're listening, dearest cousin, hey. So he said, so this was actually sent only about a month ago, which means he's listened to almost all of season 1 and then sent us this thing, which is funny because I didn't even know he had my phone number, but here we are. He said, "Hi guys, it's me, so-and-so, all the way from the place where they live." This person, he's moved out of the immediate area where most of us live. He said, "I just wanted to reach out to let you guys know that when I miss home and family, I listen to your podcast. It makes me happy hearing you guys talk about how you grew up and how I can compare it to my childhood. It makes home feel just a little bit closer. Keep it up."
Oh, that is
I
so
know.
nice.
I'm like getting teary-eyed.
I know. I'm like warm and fuzzy inside.
I almost cried when he sent that. I got like really teary-eyed and I just responded. I was like, "Oh, that's so nice." And then I was like, "Don't engage, you'll cry." So if he's wondering why my answer was so short, it was because I'm like literally tearing up right now because I've read that text message so many times and it's still so warm and fuzzy.
And it just like, it feels good to know that people are listening and that it's relatable. It makes me feel less crazy. Other people are experiencing the same shit that we experience. Creating this podcast is creating that for me. So I'm glad that listening to this podcast is creating that for other people.
We are going to continue, and we are getting close to the end of season 1. We have 2 more episodes. The season closer I am so excited about. It's already recorded. It's going to be a cool one, a little different than what we normally do. And then we are going to take a little break. We've already been planning out season 2. We already have some really cool guests lined up. We're going to spend the summer doing a lot of recording, a lot of editing, and we will be back in the fall. So that is really exciting. We are trying to now figure out if we should have an Unapologetically First Gen Instagram account. So let us know if you want to see Unapologetically First Gen on social media.
Perfect. And if you haven't joined the Patreon, join it so you can be informed when the new season comes out. Thank you so much for listening. I will be back next week with a new episode. Until next time. If this episode resonated with you or you have your own first gen stories to share, we'd love to hear from you. Connect with us on Stacy Braga Copy or Streamline with Lesley on both Threads and Instagram, linked in the show notes. And don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share the podcast with someone who'd love it. Until next time, keep embracing your roots and making your own path.